Hello, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. Welcome to the meeting of TV Toastmasters Club 9523. The meeting is now in session. We meet on the first Thursday at 6 p.m. and on the third Saturday at 9 a.m. in the beautiful Anderson Center in Anderson, Ohio. We'd love for you to join us on either, once again, the first Thursday or the third Saturday. Now today, you are in luck because we're going to have our holiday-themed meeting. So you will hear references to Christmas, Thanksgiving, and the holiday season, as well as our fantastic Christmas lectern and our beautiful Christmas or holiday tree, depending upon how you want to present that. So at this point, I'd like to bring up our Toastmaster Emeritus, a triple distinguished Toastmaster, Carol Kormelink.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. Welcome, everyone. Glad that you're here today, and I'm the MC of the meeting that will keep the meeting flowing, keep us all on track, and we will have 3 parts to the meeting. We'll have the impromptu session where we will have a grammarian give us a word of the day. We will have the Tabletopics, which allows you to think quickly on your feet. So when you're asked that unexpected question, instead of having a brain freeze, you know how to do it. Then we will have the prepared speeches, and then we will have the feedback, which is the listening, responding, giving feedback on the speakers. I'd like to make some corrections to the agenda. Our speaker number 1 will be Rick Barron. Our speaker number 2 will be Sheila Mudd-Baker. Our evaluator for Rick is, he's evaluator 1, is Paul Wessels, and evaluator 2 for Sheila is Rick Barron. We have the all-counter grammarian word par. Normally that is 1 role. Today we have divided into 2 roles where we will have the word par and the grammarian, and they'll both do a little bit of grammarian, and then Shankar will be the all-counter. Mary Arms will be sitting up front here, and she will be giving us the times when you come up for table topics. It's 1 to 2 minutes. You will get the green at 1 minute, the yellow at 1.5, and the red at 2, and you may stop anytime in between. If you can meet the green, that's fine. The challenge is also to use the word of the day. Then on the speakers, our speaker number 1 is doing an icebreaker, the 4 to 6 minutes, so he will see green at 4, yellow at 4.5, and red at 5. And then on the second speech, the 5 to 7 minute speech, she will get green at 5, yellow at 6, and red at 7. Now we don't have a hook that comes, if you don't quit at the red light, we don't have the hook that comes to drag you off the stage, but just be aware that you should be closing when you are doing the, yeah, I don't see the tally light on there. I don't see any light. Okay. Then we will have the general evaluator that will come up and introduce the evaluators, and you have a piece of paper in your hand. This is to give feedback to the speaker to tell them what they liked, what you liked about the speech, what they did well, and what they might be doing a little better. And then we will have our other reports from feedback. I would like to start the meeting today with the word of the day. Paul Wessels will give us the word of the day and challenge us to use it. Paul Wessels, competent communicator.
Thank you, Carol. I'm the grammarian for today, and the purpose of the grammarian is twofold. 1, to introduce the word of the day, and 2, to give a general evaluation or the use of English throughout the day. So I will be looking for those 2 things. I'm going to introduce the word of the day first of all, and again, it's designed to increase our working vocabulary. So it's not an obscure word, it's something that we can use every day. The hope is that you'll use this word at least once when you're up here, and several times if you can. So I'm charged with keeping track of the word of the day, and also, again, committed to looking at English and the way English is presented and spoken throughout the meeting. So the word of the day, and I'll put this in front here and leave it in front for a little bit, is courageous. Word of the day is courageous. And what courageous means, obviously, it's possessing or displaying courage, able to face and deal with danger or fear. And remember, courageous is resistance to or mastery over fear. It's not absence of fear. So the word of the day is courageous. I'm going to leave it up here so you can have a reminder of it.
Thank you, Paul, for that courageous word. When I was the grammarian at Talk Toastmasters, the first week I had idea. That was so hard to find out because it was a normal word. So this last time when I was grammarian, I used bloviate. That way I knew if they were using my word of the day. So it might be harder, Paul, to pick out courageous because people could be saying that anyway. Thank you for that word, the challenge. Use it when you're up here. Our Tabletopics master today, to give us all those great ideas, Darren Henderson, Advanced Communicator Bronze. Darren Henderson.
Thank you, Carol. Today is my favorite meeting of the year because I love the holiday season. And once again, when I say the holiday season, I don't just mean Christmas. I really mean probably starting next Monday, the week of Thanksgiving, all the way through New Year's, to me is the holiday season. And I think that's just a great 6 weeks of the year. Just a fantastic time. So today I'm going to ask some questions regarding the holiday season. And once again, for those of you who don't know, the table topics portion of the meeting is the portion in which a person will come up and have an impromptu speech of 2 to 3 minutes, of 1 to 2 minutes rather, and talk about a topic which they didn't know about prior to the question. So it's a great opportunity to be able to speak off the cuff, because obviously one of the most difficult things at work is to get a question from someone and have to answer off the cuff. That's a very difficult thing to do. So this is like a great way to train, almost like being an athlete. You kind of train those muscles here in Toastmasters, so when it happens at work, you'll be ready to go. So the first person I'm going to bring up today is Chris Tehan. And Chris, you want to come forward? Chris, the holiday season is upon us. Can you tell me your fondest holiday memory?
Well, my fondest holiday memory is, of course, what everybody, or hopefully everybody has an experience with, is to come down at usually 6 in the morning, usually something maybe even earlier because you're so excited about the presents that are underneath the tree, and come down when you're little and be able to kind of peek and see which of the trees, which of the presents are underneath the tree, and which ones are yours, and what belongs to you, and have a morning of sharing with your family, of opening up gifts, and being just having a very warm feeling surrounding the Christmas morning. Also, to get together with family in the afternoon and have a good meal and share a lot of fond memories and a lot of fond times that you've had in the past with regards to Christmas and those traditions. That is my fondest memory of Christmas.
All right. Thanks, Chris. All right. Next, I love Thanksgiving for a lot of reasons. One, football, and probably most importantly, of course, is just eating, eating, eating. So next question is, what is the killer dish that you either love to cook or love to eat at Thanksgiving? Don, you come up and share that with us.
Thank you. Thanksgiving is a time for giving thanks, and in that process, we usually gather a family around the table to eat. And there are usually special dishes that we have on Thanksgiving. Turkey would be, I guess, one of the mainstays of that day. And I remember in our family, we used to have a traditional Thanksgiving Day turkey cooking in the oven. And there were 4 of us children, 3 of 3 brothers, and my mom and my dad. My mom would usually do the cooking, and Dad would be helping out with the various sundry tasks that are at hand there. We would like to have some dressing, and we would like to have some just a bunch of other things that we won't have time enough right now to mention. But we really enjoyed the Thanksgiving, usually as a family, the get together, the giving thanks. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks, Darren. All right. One of the great things about Thanksgiving, besides the meal, is the Friday after Thanksgiving, which most of us have off, so it's an extra day to basically do whatever you want to. So one of the great things is you can do anything you want to. So what do you normally do on that Friday after Thanksgiving? Shankar?
Friday after Thanksgiving, that's a great question because half the time I don't even remember what I do on the vacation and holidays. Usually after Thanksgiving, I have been typically getting along with friends and visiting them, just going out to the Smoky Mountains, or if I'm in the cities, I just go out to watch some movies and stuff like that. And it will be usually a very relaxed day, and it won't be any busy. So that's what I would do after Thanksgiving. Thanks.
Next question. What's your favorite Cincinnati-themed holiday activity or tradition? Paul.
Favorite Cincinnati theme or holiday tradition? It brings me back to, and again, this is during the holidays, but you were talking about the Friday after Thanksgiving. We always go to my sister's house, and we have a chili cook-off. So each family member prepares their own chili, and we bring them in extended family members. So it's cousins and aunts and uncles, and everybody's got their own little recipe, and they'll try different recipes. So we'll bring a pot of chili, and it's great because you can walk around and sample all the chilies, and you don't really know whose chili it is. It's numbered, so you don't really know, but people kind of negotiate, hey, don't you like number 5? And you kind of get a feel. So it's kind of a fun way to do things, and it's great. Lots of good chili that you haven't tasted before, and there's a lot of competition when this. So to me, that from a Cincinnati standpoint, that's kind of a northern Kentucky, that's where I live, tradition that we do during the holidays, which makes it kind of fun. So that's my favorite tradition during the holidays.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. I'd like to thank all of you for sharing those great memories with us. And with that, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Carol Kormelink.
Thank you for those great topics and the answers and what we learned about the people. That sounds like a lot of fun, Paul, is chili cook-off, and you don't know who brought the chili.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well. There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
We now go into the prepared speeches portion of our meeting, and our first speaker today, Rick Barron, is going to be doing his icebreaker speech. He's already done that, but this is doing it again in a little different flavor, and I'm looking forward to do that. Rick is our current area governor, and he was last year's president of Toastmasters. His speech is number 1. It's a 4 to 6 minute, and it's and the objectives are to begin speaking before a group and to overcome any nervousness you might have. And because it's a first speech, you're allowed to use notes, but try to use them sparingly. His icebreaker speech title is How Me. How Me. Let's welcome Rick Barron. How Me.
Thank you, Carol. Tell me about yourself. It's a phrase we hear very often as we meet somebody new, maybe at a job interview. But often we have a prepared or canned response that typically goes, this is how old I am, this is where I work, this is what I do, this is my marital status, this is how many children I have, and maybe here are some activities that I enjoy doing. But today, for my icebreaker speech, rather than tell you what I am, I decided to tell you about how I became who I am. Maybe that's a very courageous topic, but I'm going to try it right now. And I'm going to tell you about myself physically, mentally, and emotionally, how I became Rick Barron. First, physically. I'm 5'11", and I am the tallest person in my immediate family. Taller than my parents, taller than my brother, and taller than my sister. Height in my family comes from my maternal grandfather. All of my mother's brothers are all very tall. I have green eyes. My mother also has green eyes. I get my green eyes from her. Growing up, my father and I used to joke about our Roman noses. I have a nose that roams all over my face, and that came from my father as well. My hair is a bit of a mystery because my mom or dad don't look like this. I'd always heard that your hair comes from your maternal grandfather, but he died with a full head of white hair. So the hair is a real mystery as to where the hair comes from. Mentally, I've always been an excellent student. And while Mom and Dad both talked about the merits of education, it was Mom who was the one who actually got the good grades. In terms of an analytical mind, I have a very good mind for problem solving, for getting directly through the issues and settling on a solution. And that comes from my father. Trained as an engineer, he was very good at sifting through a bunch of complex issues and coming to a conclusion. Emotionally, I am very neat and organized, almost to an obsession. Living with 6 cats has helped to break me a bit of that obsession. But that neat and organized nature that I have comes from my mother. I don't like confrontation. I avoid confrontation, and in many cases, I will ignore it. I will pretend it's not there, and I will do just about anything to keep from confronting you or someone else. And that trait comes from my father. Interesting, from a man who grew up in the military, having to give and receive orders, but he really did not like confrontation. I'm adventurous. I like roller coasters, I scuba dive, and I downhill snow ski. While none of those activities are ones that I can say my parents enjoy, my mom is the adventurous one. She's the one who's taking trips to Central America. doing mission visits to help people with eye exams, and other kinds of trips of that nature. Both parents enjoyed travel, and I too enjoy traveling because it's something that they, growing up in Buffalo, New York, kind of planted in a single location. They could not wait to get out and spread their wings, and they gave me that joy and love of traveling as well. So the next time someone asks you, tell me about yourself, take a few minutes and reflect on how you became who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you very much. And now for our next speaker, Stanley Glitchner.
Speaking in public doesn't have to be a death sentence. At Toastmasters, we can help you overcome your fears.
Thank you. Welcome back. Our next speaker is going to be inspiring us, persuading us with power. She has done a lot of great speeches, and I always enjoy Sheila's speeches. She's going to tell us about how to become smarter, faster, and more energetic, and we'll be doing speech number 9 in the Competent Communication Manual, To Persuade with Power. She is a distinguished Toastmaster, and she's interested in nearly anything which makes human life better, which includes nutrition and exercise. She's an area governor. She's an actress. She's a very busy woman, so I'm interested to hear her speech, how to become faster, smarter, faster, and more energetic. Sheila Mudd Baker, distinguished Toastmaster.
Are you afraid? I am. Are you afraid that you won't achieve your dreams? Sometimes I am, but less and less these days. Are you afraid of achieving? Nelson Mandela said, in a paraphrased form of mine, we aren't afraid of failure. We're afraid of success. We are afraid of being the brilliant things, the brilliant people that we could be. We're afraid of being beautiful, happy, smart, athletic, rich. We're afraid of all of that. What if we succeed? That is very frightening for most people. You would think that watching television and films, we all want to be smart, beautiful, athletic, successful, happy, but we're afraid. So, we're going to be more courageous today. What is it you really want? It's a question for all of us. Make a list of those things you really want in life and add to it every day. I got this very helpful suggestion from a well-known Toastmaster, writer, marathoner, and speaker, Croy Sather. Croy Sather ran 100 marathons in 100 days, and then every one of those days he also gave a public speech. Pretty amazing, most people would say. 1 marathon a year would be pretty amazing for most of us. Writing a speech, giving a speech for many people is a terrifying prospect. I'm not asking you to give a speech. I'm not asking you to run a marathon, but what if that's what you wanted? What if that's what you want more than anything in the world? To be able to go from the beginning of a marathon and 26.2 miles later still be alive. Good. A good thing to think about. What does it take? So the first question is, what is it you want to do? The second step in this process is to determine what it would take to do what you want to do. You need to think, you need to evaluate, and part of that evaluating is planning. When you evaluate, you are also planning. And then thirdly, you do. You have to do. I can plan all year long to be in a marathon. I can. I do it every year. But when it comes to actually doing, I forget to do. So first, it's think. Second, it's evaluate and plan. And third, it's doing. So, what is it you want? Do you want to be healthier? What would make you healthier? What would be the very first thing you'd want to know? How healthy am I now? Of course. Where am I right now? I might go to the doctor and get weighed. I might get measured someplace. I might have blood tests done to see if I'm in good shape. If I'm in good shape, there's no reason why I couldn't exercise, why I couldn't change my eating, why I couldn't be different than I am. So the very first thing is I am thinking about what I want. I'm evaluating where I am. And then the next part is I'm making a plan to get to where I want. Now, that means I better think hard. Better think very hard. What do I want to be? If I want to be Miss America at the end of the year, I'm in trouble. It's not going to happen. But if I want to be 10 pounds lighter, able to run a mile, be able to lift my body weight with my legs, which sounds outrageous to some people, but it's very simple to others. If those are simple goals, I set the goal and I say, where am I now? What will it take to get there? And then I do one small thing for each of those goals every day. Just a small thing. If I wanted to have more endurance so I could run the marathon, I might consider walking for a while every day. Just start with a mile, half mile up, half mile back. It's only a few blocks. Add just a tiny bit more each day. Within a few weeks, I add a little tiny bit of running. I'm out of breath right away. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I'm out of breath. I add to that every day. So I am thinking, I am evaluating, I am planning, and I am doing. And we go back again and revisit those constantly every day. I think, is that still my goal? What am I doing? Where am I? Have I moved from this point to this point? Yes or no? How do I know? I wrote it down. All I had to do was write it down. It's amazing how writing down what I eat, writing down what I do, writing down what I want makes all the difference in the world. You think that's not true? I've lost 70 pounds. I plan to lose 10 more. Over the course of several years, I did it a little tiny bit at a time. A tiny bit. I've walked a marathon. I've run a marathon. Last year, I thought about a marathon, but I didn't do it. So each year, we set up our goals. And you're watching this show in December. And when you watch the show in December, you're kind of thinking about, what do I want to do next year? We all wait until December and January to make plans. Well, we should be making those plans every day. Maybe we don't need 20 goals. Maybe we only need one goal. Maybe my only goal is to be healthier at the end of the year than I was at the beginning. And how do I determine that? How I feel, how I look, how much I weigh, how much I can do. Healthier. My doctor can help too. My doctor can say, oh, your heart's stronger. You have lower cholesterol. I can say, I feel great. I can stay awake all day and not worry about being exhausted by the end of the workday. Each of us has something that we want. So even if your goal is to win Jeopardy and win more money than the guy who just won it, won $77,000, you can do it. Yes, you can. Set your goal, know what you want, plan, evaluate, do. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sheila, for that courageous speech and a subject near.
All the education in the world won't help you get ahead in life if you can't express your ideas effectively. Every day, competition for advancement gets tougher and tougher. You need an edge. A Toastmasters club can give you that edge. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters gives you the confidence to express your ideas to anyone. Get the Toastmasters edge.
Right now, we will have our general evaluator will come up, and we will introduce the evaluation team, the evaluators. Darren Henderson, Advanced Communicator Bronze. Darren Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I think this is the most important part of any Toastmasters meeting because the difference between a group of people who come together and just give speeches and a Toastmasters meeting is that we actually give feedback to the members. So this is the most important part of any meeting because this is where the people who gave their prepared speeches get the feedback from another member that will allow them to give better speeches in the future. So very critical part of the Toastmaster experience. First up, evaluating Rick Barron will be Paul Wessels.
Thank you, Darren. Fellow Toastmasters, TV audience, I'm here to evaluate Rick Barron's speech. It was titled How Me, and the speech came from project number 1 of the Competent Communication Manual. The objective of the speech was basically to introduce yourself or talk about yourself, make general eye contact with the audience, and have a nice organized speech, meaning the format with an opening to try to grab that audience in, and then body, where you make a few points and then you expand upon those few points with stories or some sort of anecdote or something like that, and then conclusion, tie everything together with a nice conclusion. So Rick, I think it was very courageous of you to talk about yourself that way, and from a content standpoint, your opening was good because it's something you grabbed us, it's something we can all relate to. Hey, tell me about yourself. You get that question all the time. But then you put a little twist on it, which is what I always like to do. I think that was kind of neat that you did that. Something you're telling about how you became you. And you broke it down. You've got a nice body. You broke the body down into several different topics: physical, mental, emotional. Pretty clear. And then you expanded upon them. And you mentioned, how tall. You started out with height, and then nose, and it was humorous in the hair and from a physical standpoint. And you related it back to how, meaning which parent you got it from. Mother, father, uncle. So back to the theme again. Mentally, the same thing. You were talking about problem solver, where you got that. Emotionally, again, third topic in that body, and you brought it back to the theme again, who you got your emotions from. So I like that you brought it back to conclusion. You wrapped everything up nicely. What I did like about it is you put a twist on something that we all hear every day, and you did follow your theme. And it's hard to find some improvement areas, but to try to get something and say something, when you brought it back to your parents, that was the theme, but you may have brought it back instead of to each parent, each emotion, each physical trait to a specific parent, which is good. Maybe to a situation, break it up a little bit. Bring it back to, instead of a parent, I got this from some sort of situation that I was in, which helped me be me. Just a little break up, a little bit more storytelling, but just because I had to come up with something. So that was the improvement. What I liked about it was a twist on things, on something we all know about. There was humor in there, it was well thought out, and you can tell you've done this before, and it taught me something. So I very much appreciated that speech, and I thought it was well done.
Thank you, Paul. Our next evaluator for Sheila Baker will be Rick Barron.
Thank you. Thank you, Darren. I love this part of the Toastmasters meeting, having an opportunity to grow personally by helping someone else grow in their speech development as well. Sheila's speech was titled How to Be Smarter, Faster, and More Energetic, and her goal was to persuade us with power. She's supposed to give a speech based on logic and emotion, focused on the self-interest of the audience, avoiding notes, and helping us to make a change in our lives. The opening was incredible. Are you afraid? Each and every one of us has been afraid at one point in our lives and could relate to something specific. But the one thing that I would have liked to seen differently in the entire speech, Sheila, was give me more time to think after your opening statement. As I was going through that list of things in my mind that I was afraid of, you continued right on with the speech and kind of cut me off so that I had to come back to listen to your speech. The topic was very well focused on the self-interest of us, and it's very timely given the time of year. As the year winds down and we're all looking to make changes or reflecting on the accomplishments that we've had in our lives, an excellent time for each of us to sit down and say, how can I be smarter? How can I be faster? How can I be more energetic? You used the quote or the paraphrase of the quote from Nelson Mandela. That was nice. I enjoyed that as well. And the speech was very well organized. The good opening, the body, and the conclusion at the end. The piece that I thought was really missing was the emotional aspect of it. You did a lot of good gestures and hand motions, a lot of vocal variety. I mean, the mechanics of the speech were very good. But one of the things that I would have liked to seen, you have such a powerful personal story with the 70-pound weight loss that I think you could have made that a real integral part of the speech in talking about your personal story and how the personal story could really help us make the changes in being smarter, faster, and more energetic. Great topic for the holidays. I think a number of us are persuaded to sit back, reflect on our year, look at the year that's coming up, and help us find goals that we're ready to achieve. Thank you very much, Sheila.
Thank you, Rick. Okay. The next part of our evaluation program will involve our all-counter and grammarian report, which today will actually be split into two separate parts. So first, with our all-counter report, will be Shankar.
Well, with consistently great speakers today, it has been very difficult for me to count the R's and M's and the double clutches that I just learned before getting on stage from Carol. So I made sure that I could find at least one double clutch with Carol. Actually, she had just two, and as always, it was a great talk from Carol. In one of the places, Carol said, "Word of the day." That's just an example. With Darren, with all the little in between break talks he was giving, I could find only one R. From Chris in the speech, I could see about 9 R's, and I think I have also the habit of using and you use 4 ands. I also always use a number of ands. Don just had 2 R's and 1 you know. Sheila had a perfect talk. She did not have any R's. Rick in his How Me talk had absolutely no R's, and I wonder where he got that trait from. That's about it. Thank you.
One good example of why the evaluation portion is so important is the next gentleman who's coming up. I can remember about a year and a half ago, Paul came up here, and someone counted just an enormous amount of odds. I want to say it was in the 40s. And over the last year, I think often he comes up here now and he'll have a clean slate with no uhs and ahs. So that's the important part about this portion of the meeting, because we may not realize we're saying a lot of uhs and ahs until it's brought forward. But then as we correct it, that's the really great thing about Toastmasters. So next, I'd like to invite Paul up to give our grammarian report. And I'm sure he won't have any uhs and ahs after that introduction.
I'm not sure. Courageous was the word for today. Just to go through. Carol, you used it 3 times. You did have a double clutch, and I just want to say the word lip smack. I know you like that. I don't even know what it is, but nobody had any lip smacks from what I can tell. So lip smack. Rick, 1 time. Courageous, 1 time. You may have done it another, but had a lot going on today. Sheila, flawless speech, I thought, from an English standpoint. 1 time. Courageous. Chris, I know exactly what you're talking about. The tough part is table topics, because you really don't know what you're going to say during table topics. That's where I still do a lot of uhs, ands. When it's a prepared speech, you've got an advantage because you do have a prepared speech. But if you have to get up here with table topics, you're trying to think, and that's a way to think in between what you're going to say. So I do the same thing. Several of those.
I was trying to lead in with the courageous, so I couldn't think of a way to lead into this. That got me on the line of the uhs.
Sometimes when you get behind, and the other thing was you apologized. Don't ever apologize. Hey, I'm sorry I did that. Up here, just keep moving on. Nobody even sees it. Nobody even cares. Just keep moving on, in my opinion. Darren, I had some ums, a few, not many, but again, you're thinking in between, and that's when you get the ums and the ahs. I didn't hear any courageous, though. You may have said it. Shankar, I didn't hear a courageous. A few ands, like you had mentioned. Mary, I didn't hear, or Mary, you haven't been up here yet. I've got you blank. I've got everybody's name down. No us? No ahs?
No us. No lip smacks.
And who am I missing? Don. Don, what did I have here? There was a double clutch, but other than that, I don't think you used courageous also. You may have. That's my report from the grammarian standpoint.
Thanks, Paul. And the final member of the evaluation team will be Mary Arms, who will give us our timers report.
Well, hello, everyone. This is my timing report. Okay, like the word courageous was the word of the day, and Paul, you did it in the word power. It was 1 minute and 45 seconds. In the table topics, Chris, 1 minute and 14. Don, 1 minute and 15. Shankar, 34 seconds. And Paul, 1 minute and 3 seconds. In the speakers, Rick, you are 5 minutes and 29 seconds. And Sheila, 7 minutes and 34 seconds. In evaluation, Paul, 3 minutes and 8 seconds, and Rick, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. In the all counter, Shankar, it was 1 minute and 20 seconds. At grammarian Paul, you were 2 minutes and 4 seconds, and the genuine, I can't even say it, general evaluator, Darren, was 1 minute and 10 seconds. And that is it.
Thanks, Mary. Just a couple overall thoughts about the meeting. We started about 9:30, which was later than normally I like to see us start about 9:20. So I think we're probably about 10 minutes late, but there was a lot of issues with the set, with the Christmas theme, so that may be one thing we could improve upon slightly. There was a little bit of disorganization because we have a lot of people here, but I actually thought we handled that pretty well. Overall, thought that got squared away pretty quickly. I do love the Christmas thing. I think the stage looks fantastic today. I know one thing we've talked about is doing more themed meetings, and I think it does take a lot of work, but it'd be a great touch for the meeting. I mean, it just looks fantastic today. As far as the speeches, Rick, I thought that was a great concept. I really enjoyed the speech and just the whole concept of it. It'd be great. It's a great idea for an icebreaker. It really is. Sheila, I really liked your speech also. I thought it was some really great ideas on how to really, all of us want to do things better, but the action part is where we all struggle. So I thought it was some great practical things we could do differently to make those things occur. On the evaluations, Paul, I thought you gave a very good evaluation. One thing I think I may have just missed it. I don't know if you actually read the goals of the speech from the manual. Maybe I missed it. I don't know if you did or not. I always like to see that done. But as far as the content, I thought you gave Rick some great ideas, and I always like to see, regardless of how good the speech is, I think there's always some room for improvement. So I like the fact that you did have a couple things that Rick could improve upon. Rick, one thing you did reach Sheila's goals for the speech. One thing I do like to see from your standpoint on the evaluation, I always like to use the sandwich method, which you talk about what you like with the speech, then maybe a couple things to improve upon, then at the end, a little bit more affirmation. I kind of felt like you kind of went right into the improvement part when you started the evaluation, so I would like to see maybe a little bit more of the things you liked first, then get into the other part. But I may have missed the first part a little bit. But overall, still a good evaluation. I think gave Sheila a lot of good things to improve upon with the speech. One thing we don't do consistently is, I felt from Rick's standpoint, Sheila gave her speech, then he was called up here about 3 minutes afterwards, so I thought maybe we could have given a minute. I know sometimes we give a minute after the speech for evaluators to kind of prepare their thoughts, and I'm guessing, I don't know, I don't know if you felt rushed, but I thought, seems like you were coming up here pretty quickly after we ended the speech portion. So, but overall, I thought it was a very good meeting. I thought we had a lot of fun today, a lot of good topics, good speeches. So once again, another great Christmas TV Toastmasters meeting. So with that,
You can close it because Rick will cut out my comments anyway, so just close it.
okay. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for coming. I think we had a very good meeting today. And once again, I really enjoy our Christmas holiday themed meetings at TV Toastmasters. And to those of you in the TV audience, once again, we meet the first Thursday at 6 p.m. and the third Saturday at 9 a.m. at the Anderson Center in Anderson, Ohio. We have a lot of fun. It's a great group of people, so if you get a chance, feel free to come join us. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well. There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom requires leadership, and leadership requires oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.